I'm not using Natalia right now. If you're playing Natalia, you will play Templar. God DH doesn't need Templar, by the way. Uh, if you play, I think if you play Shadow or if you play high-end Shadow or high-end Marauder or high-end Natalia, you'll use Templar, yes. If you don't need the cooldown. So in Marauder, you might even need the cooldown yourself because you don't have Dawn. Well, you have Dawn for this season, I guess, for the Marauder side. But if you don't ever have Dawn on the Marauder side, then you need cooldown from the Enchantress right here, from the Prophetic Harmony. And since I have a 63% equipped Dawn, I haven't seen my second Primal or something, right? So my cooldown needs to be 43% because I also got this upgrade today, but it gave me min roll 5% CDR. So you need to watch out whether your cube of this season has a Dawn or whatever build you're playing. As long as you have a Dawn and your CDR is 37 or higher, 37 is actually too low at the beginning anyway, unless you're just depending on the numlock on the PC. If you're playing on PC and you numlock, 37% is all you need as a total for numlocking. But if you're not numlocking, you actually want like around 38.68% depending on your latency. So my latency is that I'm playing on the EU side. So if you see here, I'm mousing over my latency bar at the bottom. It's like 166, 175, 163, right? So the other thing about latency is that this 43% is also like a 1% higher than you need is because reaction time based on latency, right? It's in-game server detection, right? So you want that manual gameplay to be detected. So then you actually want to have over cooldown initially anyway. So until your gear is perfect gear, that drops you down towards any lower. Which I still need more intelligence on my follower anyway. I haven't even worked on the follower intelligence for main stat, right? So that's another thing about me missing like 2% there, but that's not the problem. The problem is when your gear is so good in other stats. So today I just got this shoulder earlier from Kadala, like two different ancients. The other one has no area damage to roll. I just worked on my area damage to 90% when I decided to just spend a Rama gift on a non-ancient Dawn that I know I'm going to use for a while. So I went area damage here, which affects the cooldown, right? Um, I mean, I was using a socket initially without a Rama gift, but the idea is that what dropped the cooldown most of the way, especially using Enchantress, or the need to use Enchantress, is because of items like this, where it gives you that bare minimum CDR like cooldown roll. So, but then you see the other rolls, right? I was using a non-ancient earlier, non-ancient shoulder earlier. I mean, even my leaderboard has the non-ancient shoulder, but I think you get what I'm saying. I just want to show you like basically what happens. I was using this shoulder earlier. So I got an upgrade, but the upgrade actually dropped me lower. So my point is, you should always have an over cooldown reduction early on until your stats go like this. The ancient has 639 dexterity out of 650, right? So it's almost looks like a primal with the chill in the secondary, in fact. The chill really helps with numbing traps as well, right? So it's like in additional stuff. Like those are like nitpicky stuff, but on the secondary to mention. But You look at the 639 dexterity with the 127 out of 130 all resist, and then you could get 20% area here. This is like perfect shoulders. But the problem with the perfect shoulders is it's not perfect because the most important initial stat is your cooldown reduction stat. So when you decide to get 37%, let's say we know that even 36.5%, right? Some people will actually advise that you only need 36.5. And then stronger seasons, you play even less. Because, like, the ethereal season. The ethereal season, you cannot do cooldown on the ethereal weapon, the Bariza, if you play ethereal season, right? So then the ethereal season will get weaker cooldown or even weaker area, but the weaker area is made up for the damage from the Bariza weapon that's crazy insane. So the God DH became an S tier or S minus or A plus tier because of the Bariza weapon, right? But anyway, tangent. So the biggest problem is that when you get 36.5 on purpose yourself or 37 yourself directly, what if you got this shoulder like right away? Which means then that 7 CDR shoulder that I showed you will drop you below 37 immediately once you get a 7 CDR previous shoulder into a 5 CDR. So you actually want to have over CDR first. Like, you never want to have, you know, less first. You always want to have more first so you can shift things around, you know? So a lot of people think in priority stats, like, oh, I just need 37 CDR, so I'm going to get exactly 37 CDR as a priority. Yes and no at the same time. Because at any point in time, you get an upgrade that you cannot roll cooldown somewhere, or if it gives you min rolls, it's still going to start affecting you at the same time. Now, God DH is not as strong on the Ethereal season where you cannot play in group play, right? God DH this season, you cannot play in group play. But let's say you play in group play. Now you don't even have the Enchantress in group play. Then I'm going to be missing the Enchantress CDR. Then I'm below CDR, right? So just like last season, the Sliver of Terror basically needs you to have one extra cooldown slot, right? Because it ate 25% extra. So you need one extra cooldown slot. So the idea is the same. It's the same thing. You never actually want to work on exactly 37 unless you just depend on dying every so often against certain monster types that you don't normally play with. Because people actually also load up greater rifts, right? They fish, right? People fish for like easier monster types. I mean, when they fish for easier monster types, it's not easier in the sense of incoming damage. It's easier because of the success rates of performance by leaderboard success. So it doesn't help because why? If you get Face Beast and Lacuni Huntress, of course, we know how to tackle Lacuni Huntress. You just go in one direction instead of going backwards because the potions slash grenades will be tossed behind you, things like that. But what if you didn't do that or didn't know that? You're gonna get hit by Lacuni Huntress outside the window of your vengeance skill uptime, right? Your vengeance uptime. So I know this is super long-winded with the whole cooldown idea, but this is gonna give you the idea and the impression as to why people are making that mistake. Now, of the cooldown reduction. Now, of course, if you are so high in offense with your paragons, right, then you kill them so fast it doesn't matter. But what actually helps other people a lot with the lack of cooldown is really that they play the conventional elements. Most people are really, really good at the use of conventional elements mixed in with their Oculus Ring gameplay. So, for example, my friend Dioxide, he's a content creator. A lot of people know him more than myself, obviously, in most cases. He loves to play with emeralds every season. Even on weaker seasons like this season, if he played Diablo 3, you will see him pushing like every Demon Hunter build with full 5 emeralds in chest and pants sockets, right? And he can push really high, but he's gonna die quite a lot, right? But in terms of where his damage comes from is the his using his conventional elements and Oculus rings like almost perfectly. So he makes up for that chain dying with the power of the other stuff, including whether the cooldown is exactly 37 as well. So he makes up for it with his full offense maneuvers such that you can play lower cooldown. But if you're like quote unquote casual, my whole 15-20 minute explanation of cooldown actually helps more people in the quote unquote casual than anything. So it took me 20 minutes to explain that, but it's actually more helpful. So I actually prefer Enchantress in the beginning over the Templar. Now, normally speaking, though, unless you have an intelligence alt ready, you wouldn't really go for the unless you have a different class ready, you wouldn't even make the Templar or the Enchantress, right? Because if let's say your solo primal was if your solo primal was a Bariza weapon or Wind Force or something. Now, obviously, you don't want crowd control if you're like already kiting and dragging in the build that you need. But imagine that you didn't have your first 6 primals and you just want usable primals. Now, you can give the primal Bariza to your follower, right? So you're gonna use the Scoundrel first because it's the same main stat that you're using with the Scoundrel. So you're gonna get maximum advantage sooner, right? So whatever build that you're playing, whatever class that you're playing, you generally use the follower that's directly of your main stat anyway. Now, and then when you need help with, let's say, cooldown, then you directly go to the Enchantress next, which is why you stay with the Enchantress for a while. And then, just like I said in the beginning, before the last 20 minutes, is that unless you're pushing at the high end already, then you need a temp bar because the incoming damage is so crazy. You need to make sure you work on the cooldown of the Templar though. So in the end, we're talking about cooldown, but it's not for yourself. You need to work on the cooldown if you're using on the Templar also. So if in the beginning you don't have enough materials and your RNG is more for yourself and you want to use the Templar, well, guess what? You need to work on the Templar cooldown so that you can actually get the heals like more consistently. So there's actually more advantage to using Enchantress first. I mean, after taking 20 minutes to explain that, right? So it just depends on which part you want to take in, right? This has a lot of like information there, but it helps like to generalize the whole thing instead of just saying, "Oh, this build use that, this build use that, this build use that." Oh, I can say that in just 3 sentences, right? Which I did in the beginning. But I really hope that like in addition to that, people received that whole 20 minutes. Now, attention span wouldn't have, but it gives the whole idea as to like options. Now light bulbs are starting to appear. You actually want to play other builds now because you're now more motivated by, working on your cooldown. So now you understand how defensive you can be because you're not just directly hoping for exactly 37, right? Because when you go exactly 37, like I said, if your shoulder failed on you or if one of the weapons failed on you to not be able to play cooldown versus area damage or something because you need higher area damage for pushing, then you're gonna run out of cooldown slots. Because, for example, if I want to push now, right, even though my main gems aren't, I want 110% area damage. Now, where can I get 110% area damage? I only have 2 places left. So then I have to sacrifice cooldown, right? I have to sacrifice cooldown because, especially because of the shoulder. So, which means that my cooldown is not going to be 37 anyway, because the total would get affected by this 3% regardless. Like, if I start shifting any of these, which I obviously will shift the 8s versus 10, right? It would be ridiculous for me to get this. But if I want anything higher beyond 110, I have to use 24% here. Now, the the part that makes the primal weapon better though is that if you're down on resources, like Forgotten Souls like this, if you keep re-rolling this, what's the chances of you getting 20% area though? Right? Because I'm at 90% here, which means if I want to get 110% exactly, then I'm going to need 20% area exactly here. But this is not a primal gloves, which means that to save materials, I should roll on my weapon. But if I roll on weapon, my cooldown is going to go even more below 37 or below 35 or something like that, right? Because if I move this down here, okay, I thought it would be more than this going down below, but I guess this is still enough. So anyway, my point stands that if you lose a lot, you're gonna go below. That one was just so lucky that I worked on it. But we have to remember, I was talking about max Dawn though. With this 63% Dawn, this 36.79 doesn't work anyway. This 36.79 works at bare minimum for a 65 Dawn. Yeah, or a cubed Dawn, right? So I would have to put the Dawn in the cube in order to change this to area damage. So if I was pushing and I want the 110, that what I have to do, like faster. Like if I want to get my push going like right away, even though my main gems aren't ready, if I want to get my area damage up to 110% for God DH pushing, my Paragon isn't ready either. But what I'm saying is, if I decide to go, let's say 125, like GR 125, I can actually play it, but I have to have the pylon order exactly, and then I have to get like the 9th series satchel correct because I don't have a 600% or like a 590 something percent satchel. So I have to get a perfect, close to perfect satchel. But then I will have the right vengeance with 110. So that's what I have to do if I want to push like right away and then play like a GR 125 that I'll unlock eventually. But that's like a lot of work. Like right now. I want to probably get to like at least 900 Paragon before 125. Because this season is not strong enough for a God DH. I mean, there are people that pushed under 1K to 125 already, but I'm just saying, uh, if you're dealt a bad rift, you're definitely gonna fail without augments. Because without augments, I've done it before 125 on a bad season, like a no help season. I mean, the COE will help. So the COE does help a little bit, especially with the Guardians mixed in. So a lot of your damage really in a GR 125 push attempt is really the COE. Like if you mix in the COE variant, the COE is what deals the damage in the zero augment 125 with a low paragon like this. So well, my main gems have to catch up. Like I definitely cannot do the 125 like this where my trapped isn't like rank 100. I mean, I can, but I'll have to be like I'll have to like make a very big pull because if I work on my area damage, I need the splash damage to help me in addition. And but even then, there's another problem with the COE is that I want the COE to directly help me against the elite though. So either way is like you just have to work on the right thing, especially the cooldown. Yeah. But this season with the flexibility of the cube, it's really easy in comparison. It's just that the strength of the builds are mostly dependent on the COE. Mostly. Or damage multipliers, right? Basically. Which is why the Necromancer is the strongest one, because you have those triple weapons, right? Triple weapon setup in the cube versus like something else like this, where you have missing like other slots that aren't weapon based, because weapon multipliers tend to have damage percents. I mean, even like Demon Hunter doesn't have damage percent in the um in except for let's say the you know the Yang's bow, the Demon's Demise on the Natalia traps, and so on. So like, if you want damage multipliers percent wise, then you need to play those, and that's why those are the stronger builds. Those are exactly why they're the stronger builds, because you actually have damage percents listed out, whereas the God DH side doesn't on weapons anyway. From weapons, I'm talking about specifically weapons. Yes, the damage multipliers exist on pants, belts, um, and the satchel obviously, but like I'm talking about weapons specifically, and that's why the Necromancer is the strongest, because we're talking about damage percent that is like weapon oriented. All right, so I went on a super like multi-level explanation, but like again, cooldown is to avoid you chain dying. So if you're like having a problem with survivability, right? Even with the Templar heals, if you're chain dying, you have other issues. Yeah, you're gonna have other issues anyway. All right, so I'm it's so boring though. I mean, my simplicity is like not even there yet. It's so boring. I mean, it's fine. 105 is fine. I just need to like. The reason why I can't go higher is because my other gems are not caught up. I need to get my Bane of the Strat kind of actually worked on. I think my simplicity is okay-ish now. I think I need to get my traps a bit closer to where my simplicity is. Because if I want to go any higher, um, I don't know, this arcane double arcane beams is really annoying. Um, if I want to go like any higher right now, like a 107 or something, my trap needs to help me. And because I'm not playing the COE way, I mean, the COE really is more helpful if you can actually stay on the Oculus Ring at the right time. When you're playing this low GR, like this 105s, you don't really need it. Because unless you... So the thing is, unless you actually walk exactly to the next elite on your cycle, like on cycle per elite consistently, then you spike instant kills, right, so to speak. But if you're not gonna spike instantly, then speed GR is definitely better with the fortress. Unless you get shield pylon, obviously, right? Like if you get a shield pylon within your 2 minutes, then the fortress is like nonsense compared to the COE. Because the COE helps at any point in time anyway. And I went to a whole rectangle. So is it top or is it this side? Okay. But my solo primal is the bad fortress, so I'm using it. I mean, it's not a bad thing. You can use it until, well, until I see a second primal, basically. Because if I don't want to use that and I want to fix the Dawn, for example, then I could technically play without a fortress and play the COE way. It's just that I'm appreciating my fortress from the solo primal. Yeah, I gotta work on the traps now. I think I need to get everything like around 80. So I was looking at like 100, but it's not happening at this rate. Interesting. Really? Getting a lot of restraints. That was a fire elemental of the not a good, but it's a 58% anyway, so it doesn't matter. And nobody really uses that aside from like I think a tank BH or something. Okay. So I need to get the trapped going to 77 as well. That way my 105 would actually speed up as well. Where's the last one? Uh, that's a little odd. I feel like there was one blue missing. There's a lot of enemies here. Like this is the one of the monster types that you wanted last season. Even though the poison is terrible, but you would have gotten a ring of fire with that amount of just now. So this is the last direction, right? Oculus ring. Okay. Double kill. Nice. Grotesque explosions again. Oh, never mind. Double kill. Yeah, I need the extra orb on the altar. I'm also like missing progression percents, considering how many yellow elite packs I'm getting. Oh, and then speaking of that, they give me a blue that I normally want a blue. Oh, this is the pylon order you want. So like, if you want to get a 125 done with 0 augments, this is the pylon order you want. Is that a Petrified Scream? Yes. So that's my 4th one of the season.
I grant you the power of your ancestors.
So, but the 2 hours is not really that I've played 2 hours. Mostly in town. And mostly talking, I think. Uh, that's interesting. Not really. Let's just randomly extract that.
Access to a wondrous artifact of old, and that's what you want to do with it.
Alright, so the trap is going. I think I need to spend my blood shards. Oh, is it Fire Shaman keeps... Yeah, I think it's time to get out this floor. Even though I have the damage to kill them for now in a 105, but like, I really don't want to stay for them. I mean, if they can just not have like 2% HP. Okay, let's try to not stay if I don't have to. Okay, that's bad. Power. Oh, early power. That's odd. I wonder if I can clear enough before my power ends. I mean, you're not gonna get a lot of progress from the Fire Shaman keeps. And then they give you one of the largest keeps in the... Oh, it's shielding. Please don't shield up. Thank you. Yeah, they give you one of the largest keeps known possible. Chaining the conduit isn't bad. I know I skipped over one, by the way. But I think I can squeeze both to... Yep. Before the power ended. Oh, I said to myself, I can get out of that largest keeps, right? Well, guess what? They gave me double keeps. So... It's as though I never left. Did I kill that elite at all? No. Yeah, the speed. I mean, I could have killed that spinner, but I can't be bothered. Let's get out of the keeps before the Rift Guardian spawns. Maybe I can use this Oculus Ring. Oh, almost. Almost got him within the first Oculus Ring. Oh, another Petrified Scream. Oh, look. Oh, hey. these 3 minute runs. These 3 minute runs are getting my Petrified Screams. These super slow takes are getting my Petrified Screams. Like, and it's like super slow too. Maybe this is the Ancient Dawn. Nope. Maybe this is the. Well, I have all 3 weapons to check. I mean, I can ID like at home, but what I'm doing here is I want to like be in the rift to kind of like show that I was in the rift. I mean, even though I was teleporting already just now, but like they weren't good anyways. So that would have been nice at the beginning. Oh, I have to spend. I was working on helmets. Okay, give me my goggles, helmets, ancient, please. You know what? This was very interesting.
You look like you could use a new. That will look nice on you. Well, isn't that nice?
Hmm, really. Upgrade, I think, like because of the physical. But then, I guess if the other one's lightning resist, maybe then it would have been the same. But let's see, arcane, and it's 5.5, and it's 827. So this is actually better than the first one that I got today. So this is actually better than the first one today. So this is, yeah, this is better than that one.
I'm skilled at clarifying gems. I need to go back.
I grant you the power of your ancestors.
I've become stronger.
All right,
Favors the bold.
continue helmets
Well, isn't
again.
that nice? That will look nice on you.
666. Wow, scary.